Before going in details of modern concept in fracture fixation, I just want to share something with you. See, the basic concept must be crystal clear and strong enough to build up the Skyper. I think in our PG life, we used to do many operation, we used to assist many OT, but uh, the fracture fixation, which is the bread and butter of orthopedic surgeon, is not properly uh, uh, trained in our resident time. And I think the modification and attending conference and doing the workshop on highly specialized subject will be going on day by day. But for a PG student, the basic concept must be strong to get that modification. And I want to clear this as much as possible. See, this is called QR code. We all know. What does it means? It means many things. Nowadays, this is the most commonly used thing in the internet, and by this QR code, you can get huge information. You can transfer huge information, and you can do our daily job like any bank payment or any any purchasing, any type of information you can give with this QR code. Now, can you can you understand this? 42-A 3.3. I think many of our students cannot get this. What is this? What is this code? This is a coding system used for fracture. This coding system is universal for the whole globe. That one doctor at Egypt can understand this, and one doctor at Japan can understand this, and one doctor at India can understand this. By this QR code type of coding system of the fracture, and that will be clear to you also after this discussion. Okay, so basic of the fracture, for the basic knowledge of this fracture and how to classify the fracture and how to treat the fracture accordingly, and what are the modification or what are the new implant is needed, and what is the ideal protocol for doing the fracture, that is governed by AO. AO is a non profitable organization, is established in Switzerland, Davos, and the full form of AO is Arbeitsteilungsgemeinnschaft for Osteogenesis Fragen. But just remember AO. This is the governor for each and every trauma cases, for classification purpose, for study purpose, for management purpose. You have to know their protocol, because this is a standardized protocol all over the world. Now, what they have done, they have divided our whole skeletal system into a coding system. Among them, we are dealing with the most common limb fracture. So, humerus coded as 1, radius ulna coded as 2, femur coded as 3, the tibia fibula coded as 4. After that, there is some axial skeletal, spine is coded as 5, and pelvis acetabulum coded as 6. But I think in details this is not necessary, because for our PG resident this is sufficient to know. Humerus 1, radius ulnar 2, femur is 3, and fibula 4. Now, this coding system is decoded by, this is a area where the fracture present in the long bone. Okay, and after this the portion of the fracture means if it is in the metaphysis, it is in the diaphysis or in the periarticular region or epiphysis. After that there will be a stroke, then it will be sub-classified like the type of the fracture and the geographical pattern of the fracture and the stability of the fracture means how the velocity of the fracture it will be suggested. Okay, now AO classified that two-part fracture is called A, wedge fracture is classified as B, and complex fracture is classified by C, C for C, wedge for B, and two-part fracture means only two part. There is a fracture, so two part. This is called A. Now there is 1, 2, 3 getting. Now if fracture end start one cortex and that will end on that cortex, this is called spiral fracture. This is very low velocity trauma. As velocity will increase, the grading will be increased. Now this is characterized by A1. After that the fracture is oblique, but that is more than 30 degree, then that will be called oblique fracture is A2. If this is transverse or less than 30 degree, then it will be treated as A3. So velocity of the fracture will decrease and the number of the fracture will increase, A1, A2, A3. Spiral A1, oblique A2, and transverse treated as A3. Now regarding the wedge fracture, this is already told that it is B subgroup, B group. Now subgroup is what is the geography. If it is the spiral type, then it is B1. If it is a special wedge type and this fracture is less than more than 30 degree angulation, then it is bending wedge. Or if there is multiple wedge fracture, then it will be taken as a B3, more velocity injury. Now complex injury means if this is comminuted but the fracture pattern is spiral, then it will be C1, so it is less comminuted injury. Now if this is transverse but segmental, this is called C2. Or if this is segmental along with comminution with some multiple transverse fracture, that will be very high velocity trauma and it may be open. This is called irregular C3. Okay, now this subgroup has been specified especially in the case of both bone fracture. So again in the both bone, if one bone is intact, one bone is fracture, then it will be granted as subgroup 1. If fracture occur but this fracture will not in the same level, that will be granted as 2. Or is fracture occur that will be same in the fracture will occur in the same level, that is taken as a 3. So in the especially in the lower limb, suppose this is spiral fracture, so it will be taken as A. If it is oblique, that will be taken as A2, and if it is transverse, that will be A3, because there is no wedge, so that will be two-part fracture, and wedge fracture is B and the segmental fracture is C. So for this long bone, this is a long bone and this is 4, recommended as 4. Now this fracture pattern is quite you can take it a transverse fracture. So sorry, and this is the this is in the diaphysis region, and this is a transverse fracture, and associated bone is fracture in the same level, so it is high velocity trauma. So it is coded by 4 diaphycyl for 2, then a hyphen, then two part fracture for A, and transverse fracture for 3, and subtype is both bone fracture same level is 3. So 4 2 hyphen A 3.3 is coded that this the both bone fracture transverse fracture in the diaphyseal region. Okay, so some do some practice. Suppose this is a femur, so that will bone is 3. Now in the diaphysis, so bone that will 2. Then the stroke is two part fracture A, and this is transverse, so 3. No need to go for sub classification for this, that is enough. And for distal femur, this will be 3, and as it is epiphysis, so it is will be 3, and then that will be highly comminuted, so C, and as there is be multiple fragment, all that transverse, and it involve this multiple fragment, so it is 3. So 3 3 dash 3 3. So that is the AO classification. Now the principle of AO fixation. Fixation means osteosynthesis. There are fracture reduction to restore the anatomical relationship. Means any type of fracture, what for healing you have to do the reduction first. For articular surface you have to do perfect anatomical reduction, but for diaphyseal region no need to do perfect reduction, because it can hamper the blood supply. Now the fracture fixation provide absolute or relative stability as the personality of the fracture, patient and injury requires. What I am telling, suppose there is a periarticular fracture, so periarticular fracture 100% reduction is mandatory to prevent the joint problem. But if there is diaphyseal fracture, so just reduction is acceptable. So this is called it will depend on the personality of the fracture and the patient. Suppose this is child, so angulation is acceptable, or injury type, this is very undisplaced fracture, so only plaster is available, is in sufficient. That's it. And preservation of the blood supply to the soft tissue and the bone, means bone is a tree in the soil of soft tissue. So during any fixation mode, we have to take care of the periosteal blood supply and along with the soft tissue coverage. Otherwise for the fracture fixation, the second part is healing will not occur. Now early and safe mobilization of the injured part and the patient as well as whole. Mean suppose patient is suffering from pelvis fracture, then early mobilization is very difficult, and weight bearing is very difficult, then we can allow him in bed mobilization. But if there is a only tibia fracture, you have put a nail, then at least you can't give him weight bearing, but you can allow the knee movement or ankle movement. Otherwise that will cause early stiffness of the joint. Okay, so this is modified and as per the fracture pattern, but four principle is very mandatory: anatomical reduction, fixation, early mobilization, and biological fixation is the principle of a good fixation. Now regarding the stability, if we put a nail, that will cause a stability. If we put a X piece, that will cause a stability. If we put a cast, that will also stability. There are various type of implant or method for stability, but if there is micro motion of the fracture fragment, then that is called relative fixation. And if there is no micro motion of the fracture fragment and there is very close gap of the fracture site, that is called absolute fixation. Now the term rigid is obsoleted now, because there is this, if you do a rigid fixation, that can cause more hamper for bone healing. So better go for absolute fixation. Absolute fixation done by plating or lag screw, and relative fixation can be done cast, and the principle is 3-point fixation. And external fixer or bleach plating and IM laning is also give relative fixation, means micro motion will occur. And as per fixation principle is occur, if there will be absolute fixation, then the callus will be no callus. But if there is relative fixation, there will be callus. But we have to take the minimum risk for to prevent any non-union. So if we put each and every fragment in the reduction, and we want to fix it with screw, that can hamper the micron motion of this fracture fragment, and it can cause the damage of the fracture hematoma. It can cause more chance of non-union over this area. So where we can allow the micro motion of the fracture, we can put such type of stabilization that helps for biological healing, or that will help to prevent the periosteal stripping, or we can use the fracture hematoma for a healing property. Okay, so what are the fracture fixation? Like the fracture fixation mode is maximum use plate. So plate has been used as a neutralizing plate or protecting plate, as you can use as a compression plate, you can use as a lag screw plate, you can use as a buttress plate, you can use in tension band wiring principle, and we can use for fixation as a intermediate device or external fixer. I will discuss this one by one. And the fracture fixation is called biological osteosynthesis. I already take a class on this. Now what is screw? Screw is a powerful mechanical device that convert the rotation into the linear motion. It has 5 parts: head, shaft, thread, and core, and this is called run out zone. I will discuss it immediately. And this is the head, and this is the socket for attaching the screwdriver. Generally recently this is stereo or hexagonal, and this is the screw tip, different type of screw tip. I will discuss it immediately. There is two factor, one is tangential and one is axial, and 50% of this force used to overcome the friction at the screw head interface. 40% of the force is transformed into the axial force, and 10% of the factor is used for overcome the friction of the thread. Okay, now there is some serration over this. Okay, and this and the junction of this head and shaft is called run out zone, and this serration is called thread. It can be V-shaped, it can be buttress shaped, and at the end there is a flute. This is called cutting flute. It present in the self tapping screw. I will discuss it immediately after how we use plate. Now regarding the head socket, in the wooden screw there will be a vertical shot and or cross shot, but recently we use the hexagonal type or stereas type. In stereas type, torque will be very high if we use very small power, and all the advanced implant this stereo type of screwdriver is used. And regarding the difference between self tapping screw and non self tapping screw, in self tapping screw the thread will be high, and non self tapping screw this gap will be less. and there is the fruit that will prevent the blockage of the bone debris, and it will help for propagate this screw into the hole. Now in this is a locking screw. Locking screw means there will be a thread that will there and that is a serration present in the whole wall of the plate. This is called locking plate and this is called locking screw. And after the locking engagement, the head will attached with this plate or fixed. There will be no motion. But in case of cortical screw, there is no thread over the head, so there will be at least 40 degree motion of the screw, or you can give screw any direction. But for locking the screw, you cannot give this screw in any other direction. You have to follow the thread line or one direction. And this is called core diameter. That means what type of or what area have to drill through which that screw can enter. In case of cortical screw, that thread diameter will be high, but in case of locking screw, that thread diameter will be very small. And the run out zone means this area is called run out zone. This run out zone is a transition between the shaft and the thread, and this site is the most stress riser area, and chance of screw breakage if you will use this screw in faulty technique, then the chance of screw breakage is maximum in this run out zone. And regarding the various type of screw, this is called cortical screw, and this is partial threaded cortical screw. Now this is cancellous screw, that the pitch is very high, and the diameter from one thread to one diameter is very high. That is used for cancellous bone, that is for cortical bone. And this is called locking screw. There is a thread over the head, and this is called self if as there is a flute, so this is called self tapping locking screw. And there is also a drill system and cutting system, so it is called self tapping self drilling, like this self tapping self drilling locking screw. It is most commonly used for locking plate for minimum invasive percutaneous plate fixation. Only one cortex is necessary for this type of screw fixation. And there is some cannulated screw that will be guided by a guide wire, and that will help by using the washer, and washer is called one hole plate. What do you mean one hole plate? That will cause maximum pressure and an effect of the screw when it will enter through a weak bone. And other type of screw is torque tip, that is used for manual fixation. And another type of the screw, this actually not guaranteed as a screw, that is actually a locking bolt that is used in the nail for proximal lock and distal lock. Do not confuse it in the exam with a screw. How you differentiate? That thread diameter will be very high and the thread will be very less, and that tip will be blunt or sharp, but it will be a cutting type. This is called torque type. Okay, and the core diameter of this locking bolt is very high. 4 millimeter is the core diameter. And regarding the canceller screw, that has a high pinch, and the core diameter is very less but larger threads, and tapping is not needed. and it will do a greater purchase in the cancellous bone, and it will use for soft cancellous bone fixation. And for cortical screw, this is one type of machine type screw, and that has smaller thread, low pitch, and large core diameter, and smaller pitch, and for higher high holding power of the bone, and it will help for better cortical bone purchase. For a 4.5 millimeter cortical screw, if it will hold the femur bicortically with a properly drilled bone, it can take 450 pounds weight in a human bone. So the screw power is very high if it is inserted in a proper manner, and this is called partially threaded screw. It can use in a lag screw effect. Now, how to put a proper screw? Suppose this is a dynamic compression plate and we are going to put a plate. First, you have to do a proper dressing draping. You have to go for proper OT protocol. Then you have to do the proper incision, soft tissue dissection, and put the homans. Now, first you have to do reduction, proper reduction, and temporary fixation of the bone and plate by a bone plate holding forceps or parabolic forceps. Then you have to use the uh, drill slit or drill guide. This drill guide has some eccentric drill guide or some neutral drill guide. This is eccentric, and when you are using eccentric mode, this arrow will be towards the fracture side. That means this screw thread will be away from this fracture side, so it is eccentric. Now, after putting this, you have to do drill. So during drilling you have to put water thoroughly, and after drilling you have to go for tapping. This is tap. After tapping you have to go for proper length of this screw or gauge, length gauge. Then after the length assertion, you have to put the oversized screw. But in our common practice we used to do drill without drill sheet. After that we will put the screw. Actually, if you follow this guideline, like you have to put after proper dissection, you have to holding the plate, you have to do the proper bone rolling forceps, then you will use a drill slit, then proper water flow, then tap, then depth gauge, then screw. That will helps to give a proper screw placement without any stress. Now, function of the screw, I already told you lag principle. There are a special type of fracture that you need to hold this fracture, or you have to reduce this fracture. Two-part fracture, you have to do one-part fracture. Now, this is called lag screw principle. You have to know. If we drill any proximal cortex, this is called gliding hole. If we drill the distal part of this fracture, this is called pilot hole or thread hole. Now this is near cortex and this is her cortex. In the proximal portion, when we are drilling, this is called gliding hole and this pilot hole. This concept is important to understand the lag screw. Now, procedure. After proper reduction is very important to give a proper lag screw. This is called AO reduction, pointed AO reduction clamp. Now, first with the help of drill slit, we have to make a gliding hole in if we want to keep 4.5 millimeter lag screw, then we have to do the drilling with a whole millimeter screw with a drill slit, and this direction must be 90 degree to the fracture line, otherwise the lag will screw will not affect. I will discuss it later. Then after that we will do countersink. Countersink means that will cause a extra room for engaging the head. And I just want to I forget to tell, if we put or countersink the head, that will decrease the stress over this bone, and it will helps to prevent the further damage in the runout zone of the screw, and it will cause also good stability without hampering any further blood supply of the endosteal vasculature of the bone. Now after making the gliding hole and countersink mechanism for engaging the head, you will put 3.5 drill slit over this cortex, and you will hit the second cortex, where we will do 3.2 drill bit for making the pilot hole or distal cortex hole. After this distal cortex hole, we will measure the depth, then we will put the tap, then we will give the screw, and during this purchasing of this second cortex, there will be the reduction of the fracture fragment, as this proximal hole is already over drilled, so there will be no purchase in the proximal cortex, only purchase in the distal cortex, so fracture is automatically reduced. Now this is called lag effect. Now if this fracture this drill will not properly in the perpendicular plane of the this fracture, what happen when that will engage this distal cortex, that will drag, so there will be shearing force of the fracture. See, this is not properly done in the 90 degree. So when this cortex will purchase, then due to compression or gliding of this screw, that will displace, so that can cause more damage. So most common mistake of our lag screw, we used to drill this, after that we used to over drill this proximal. No, if we do that, you cannot do proper centralization of the distal part, and when you will put a screw, that will the fracture will displace automatically. So please follow the principle and do not do this mistake. First proximal cortex you have to drill first, then you have to go for second cortex and must tap, otherwise this lag screw will not properly act. And for proximal tibial fracture, we used to this lag screw, partial threaded screw with a washer. For Saskat type 2 fracture, this is very good for this type of fracture reduction. Now using a plate, we are we used to use plate like dynamic compression plate and limited contact dynamic compression plate, 1/3 tubular plate, reconstruction plate, and some anatomical locking plate. Now the plate has used in multiple type. One is compression type, one is protection type, one is buttress type, and one is neutralizing type. Now when we are using locking plate, that will acts as a external fixator acting internally. It will shearing this weight, sorry, it will bearing the weight. Plate is actually a weight bearing implant, and nail is a weight shearing implant. But when this plate is applied on a bridge mode, that will act as a load bearing implant. I will discuss it, but as a normal norm, you have to know the plate used to use in the bone as a weight bearing implant, not shearing implant, as a commonly used practice. And for locking plate, there is a special thing. This is called pull out strength. What do you mean by pull out strength? If we put a cortical screw, I already told there is no fixation over the screw with the plate. Now if this is osteoporotic, or if this fracture is not properly fixed, or if due to early motion, the screw can lose. If one screw lose, another screw will lose. If another screw lose, last screw will easily lose. Now for cortical screw and non-locking plate, this this dismelting of this all system is very easy if this fracture is not properly reduced and fracture stability is not good and early mobilization is given. So pull out strength of this type of bone and this type of friction is very less. But when a locking plate and screw use, this locking screw and plate is fixed at 90 degree or at anatomical position in this junction. In the runout zone there will be huge stability. Now if you want to remove this plate, or you want to move this plate or fracture site, you have to move all this screw at a time, which is very difficult, and it will give a highest pull out strength. Okay, because this plate with screw act as a external fixer acting internally, it will resist for removing. Now what will happen if we give overcrowding of the plate? Means if we will put multiple screw and screw very near to the fracture, then what happen? There is stress riser effect over this fracture side plate, and it will easily go for fracture. And what is the ideal length for needed for any fracture? At least 3 to 4 times than the fracture length. This is the ideal rule for assessment of the plate. Now most wrong concept or most commonly used plate is dynamic compression plate. It most commonly used 3.5 and 4.5 is called broad DCP. In case of broad DCP, this hole will be zigzag pattern, because if we will put 4.5 screw in a straight line, it can cause stress riser effect, it can cause a vertical fracture. So in case of dynamic compression plate, generally we use 3.5 screw. For 3.5 screw we have to use 2.5 or 2.7 drill bit. In osteoporotic bone you can use 2.5 drill bit, but in a good cortical bone you can use 2.7 drill bit. Now before going in details, we have to know the anatomy or the model of a dynamic compression plate. If we do a cross section of a dynamic compression plate hole, we can see this hole is just inclined, and one part of this hole is inclined, one part is called is just suddenly down. So the length of this lower zone to upper zone is very high than this. Now what happened when this is called neutral drill, this is called eccentric drill. Suppose this is the fracture, this is the drill, this is a hole, this is a hole. Now from the fracture we have one side we have put a neutral screw. Now after putting a neutral screw, when we want to give compression of the fracture, we will, in case of transverse fracture, we will drill this this area in eccentric mode, means not to this fracture side, away from the fracture. Now by using this eccentric drill guide, otherwise on hand this is very difficult. Now after drilling, suppose this is the neutral screw have already given. Now after dealing eccentrically, when we will put the second screw in the eccentric mode, now see this runout zone or engaging this head, this when it will engage, that will cause dragging of this unit, means plate and screw and the bone is a one unit. Now this is eccentrically placed, and but engaging of this head, that can drag this bone, plate and screw towards this fracture. So this fracture, when that is engaged, this fracture will reduce. Okay, this is called dynamic compression plate. If you don't you give proper compression over the fracture, that plate must going to fail. So you have to know how to give compression. And in our hands-on training, I will discuss it further detailing and the further complex method for giving the compression. But you just understand, after giving a normal neutral screw, if we want to give compression in the transverse fracture, you have to do eccentric drilling. And after eccentric drilling, during this screw engagement, there will be movement of the fracture. So you have to remove the bone plate holding forceps at least is some extent, not not very loose but some extent. That will help for sliding of this bone plate, and it will help for this compression of the fracture site. Now this is called limited contact dynamic plate. Okay, in that case, this there is some lack of the bone, the material which will which can compress the bone cortex, and it will help for reduce to less jeopardization of the blood supply of the outer cortex. So this is called limited contact plate. If it is in case of dynamic compression plate, normal dynamic compression plate, the periosteal blood supply and endosteal blood supply will jeopardize because of direct contact or direct pressure over the plate over the bone. But if this is this limited contact, that will increase the blood supply or less jeopardize from the blood supply. So it is more biological. And application of the cortical screw, you have to understand the threading over this plate head. I have already told. And this is called combi hole locking plate. Combi hole mean we can use a hole, one part is cortical, one part is locking. So in this plate we can use it in compression. After that we can use a cortical screw, locking screw. But keep in mind, never put any cortical screw as a after using locking screw, because when you are using a locking screw, suppose you are using a locking screw, this thread and this plate will fixed with the bone. Now it will act as a external fixator, acting internally. Now after that you will putting a cortical screw. That cortical screw will bend this fracture, will bend this plate, or will drag this bone to this plate. So there in the runout zone there will be stress riser over this screw, that can cause the cross threading of this head, or that can cause early implant failure. So never use cortical screw after using locking screw. You can use locking screw after using the cortical screw or proper reduction. So the combi hole plate use is very fantastic. Now using a proper cortical screw, locking screw is very difficult and it needs expertise. Why? Because For this locking screw you have to drill this bone in a central axis. Otherwise, as the core diameter of the screw is very high, so if there is any small deviation from the axis, that head the screw will pass, but some two problem will occur. One, that will not engage properly in the distal cortex, or it can engage distal cortex, but the thread will not in the head thread will not engage with the plate, that 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 will lack of locking. So before putting a cortical screw you have to put the drill slit or jig, that will give you a proper direction for the drilling. And all the drilling must be guided by water flow, that will prevent the charring and ring sequestrum. Then when you will put a cortical screw, the as thread diameter is very less, so this cortical screw sometimes slip. So there is a holding special screwdriver is made for this type of cortical screw, is called thread or head holding screwdriver or head locking screwdriver. And there is a torque limiting screwdriver, means you cannot put more than required pressure over this area. Means if we do overstretching or overstretching of a nut, that can cause cross threading over this area. Or suppose the screw is not properly placed, the screw head is cross thread, now you are going to put your maximum pressure, then that can cause cold welding. Cold welding means without any temperature, that will cross thread so nicely that you cannot remove this screw at any cost. So that is called cold welding. For prevention of this cold welding, the material of this implant is recently changed. This is changed from titanium to CP titanium, and that will prevent this cold welding. And the multiple angle jig also prevent this cold welding. And the torque limiting is very important. Torque limiting means after a certain pressure, that will remove the torque, and there will be a clicking sound of this screwdriver head. So this is called torque limiting screwdriver, used for locking of the locking screw. Okay, you must use this torque limiting screw during the final tightening of the head of the locking screw. Okay, and I already told the principle of the locking screw, it is high pull out strength, and sometimes we use a anatomical locking plate for restoring the articular surface. Along with, you can use a biological fixation, submuscular plate, and unicortical fixation over the proximal proximal part of the bone, and by bridging this fracture site. This is called less invasive stabilizing system. It's called LEAS. This is most commonly used for distal femur and the proximal tibia for the fracture. Okay, and for neutral plate, if we put a fracture over this the screw over this fracture, that will stabilize the fracture, then we will put the screw over this for without any compression. It's called neutral plate. And buttress plate, suppose this is a fracture, now you will put a screw just distal to the fracture, and after putting the screw, this plate automatically drag this fracture and it will reduce automatically. So this is called buttress plate, and most commonly used in the distal radius volar fracture and the tibial plate to fracture. This is called buttress plate, buttress mode. Now bridge mode. Bridge mode is just bridging one end with the another end. Suppose there is a comminuted fracture. Now you are putting a plate with the MIPO technique, minimum missile technique, and putting the screw over there and over there. So working length from this screw to up to this screw, This is called working length, means from the fracture side most proximal and most distal, and the fixation is called working length. In this working length, that will be cause micromotion of this fracture and the fragment, and that will heal this fracture automatically, and it will help for biological union. This is called bridge mode. In this case, the plate used as a weight bearing implant, not use here a weight sharing implant. Now for commutator fracture, this use. And tension band principle, tension band wiring is used for the patella fracture or Alcyon fracture, that's all. Here tension band principle means the the fracture bone must be eccentrically loaded. What do you mean by eccentrically loaded? Suppose this is a bent femur. Now this is the fracture site. Now it has two cortex. One is anterolateral cortex, one is posteromedial cortex. This anterolateral cortex, the biomechanical shearing force of the anterolateral cortex is a tensile force will act on this cortex, and over this posteromedial cortex, and the biomechanical force is called compression force. So this is tensile cortex, and this is compressive cortex. Now if we put a plate, it acts as a neutralizing of this tensile cortex, and as the bone will bend, this neutralizing force of created by this blocking effect of this plate and screw, that will convert the compression force over the fracture side. So the fracture side that will be converted as a compression, but this is called tension band principle. For plating, we have to use in the long bone this principle. If you put this plate on this compressive surface, the fracture site will be in gap, so this neutralizing effect will gone. Now there is a contraindication to putting plate where there is a medial wedge, means in the compressive cortex there is a wedge fracture. Now when you will put this plate, and that will block the tensile force, and this tensile force, when it will convert as a compressive force of the fracture, that will more displace this this bony fracture, so stability of this fracture will hamper. As a result, all the pressure stress riser zone will be this area of this plate, and that plate will early fail. So that is the most common failure of using plate over the femur. So where there is a butterfly fragment, first you have to try to reduce it, or we can use nail, or after giving the lag screw, we can use a neutral plate. Do not use a plate over this, but try to avoid this type of fracture plating. You must go for nailing, that will help. And this is called reconstruction plate or recon plate. It is a deep notch between the holes, and also dynamic, you can use as a dynamic compression plate, and it most commonly used in 3D type of bone like pelvis, acetabulum, distal radius, clavicle, where we can use this plate as per our necessary of this, or we can bend it as per template of that fracture pattern. So one reconstruction plate can use for many fracture pattern. This is called reconstruction plate. Generally we use for this pelvis, acetabulum fracture, and distal radius and distal humerus fracture is most commonly used. Now 1/3 tubular plate is very low profile plate used for the distal fibula, like any subcutaneous fracture. or Keown fracture, and distal ulna is the most common site for one-third tubular plate. And anti-glide plate. Anti-glide plate concept mean in case of distal fibula, if there is oblique fracture, if we put a tubular plate and we will fix it the proximally, then this fracture fragment will not side above. This is called anti-glide mode plate. Most commonly used posterior medial aspect of this fibular fracture. Now another screw is called headless screw. It is used for intra-articular fracture. This is called defined pitch, and there this area has no thread, so it can cause lag effect. This is called Hurtbut screw. Now if this area is already threaded, and this is called Acutac screw, and after this discovery there is some self tapping and self threading concept. This is called Acutac 2 screw. This is used for Jones fracture, fifth metatarsal base fracture, and active principle is same. Now there is some bioabsorbable screw that will act that will give I just short note. What is bioabsorbable screw? This is the recent advance for orthopedic, that we are using stainless steel or titanium implant, but this is not biodegradable, but sometimes you have to remove this. But some implant is biodegradable, that will made of polylactic acid or polygalactic acid, PALA and PGA, that will automatically in bio taken by your body bone. So using of this bioabsorbable screw helps to prevent reoperation, and it will helps to do the proper MRI. There will be no interference, and it does not interfere with the future revision operation, and it will decrease the incidence of graft laceration. Like we used to use this interference screw. What do we mean by interference screw? It is used for bone tendon insertion junction. Means suppose you are taking a graft of tendon and we want to put it or fix it in a bone. This is called interference screw, and it generally biodegradable degradable product. Now disadvantage is it can cause infection, it can cause aseptic loosening of this bone. PGA is most notorious for this, and it can cause aseptic synovitis, also noted. Now last but not the least, pedicle screw. Pedicle screw is a special type of screw used for lumbar and dorsal and spine vertebral fixation, and pedicle screw must be used very judiciously and cautiously through the proper pedicle bony structure. It is governed by the mammillary process or pars intra-articularis, or the junction of the transverse process and the superior articular fasces vertically. And if we want to put the pedicle screw, that must not cross the anterior cortical body. It can damage the vessel, or it not go into the central canal. It can cause damage of the nerve. So the anatomy of the pedicle is very important, and the direction of the pedicle is very important. You have to know all the anatomy of the pedicle of the lumbar region. And when this pedicle fixation done for cervical spine in the transverse process, this is called lateral mass fixation. Okay, and ideal pedicle screw will be seems to be, this is called target sign. This one that will be angulated in this area, this is called target sign. And an ideal screw placement is just prevent just 1/3 and posterior 2/3 junction. The tip will remain, and that will cross just upper one third of this vertebra, so the bone girth of the pedicle will be very safe. Okay, so this is all about screw and plate. I think I can cover all your query, but very cautious about the principle. Do not um, misguide anyone, and before putting any type of implant or any type of plate, and you have to do proper dressing, draping, and take care of the soft tissue part. Otherwise all work will goes in vain, and it will land upon many problem. I think you now you can understand why I put this picture. Thank you.